Hey there everybody, Dan here, and today I've got another PTCGO game for you. I am playing Empoleon, as you can see right here, and my opponent is playing Eelektrik with Terrakion and Mewtwo as well. So I'll get straight into the game because I missed the first couple of turns, and what happened was not much, to be honest. My hand is pretty poor. I haven't got an Empoleon in play yet. I've just had to use Piplop's attack to put 20 on his Dynamo, and he hasn't got any lightning energy in hand, so he's got a fighting and a double colorless on his Terrakion, and that's pretty much it. So what I do is go for another splash or fury attack, whatever it's called, on his Dynamo, get another 2 heads because my hand is poor and I need to take some prizes as quickly as possible. So even though my Piplup is going to get KO'd by this Terrakion, I'm not too bothered because I've got 2 others, one with energy on, and I really need to get an Empoleon in play as soon as possible. So that prize could have helped out. Unfortunately, it did not. It was another Empoleon, so if I do draw into some rare candies, it might come into use, but I get end anyway. He gets an Eelektrik on his Terrakion, which is a bit of a pain, and my hand is awful, as you can see. So I promote the Piplup with no energy because I don't want to lose that just yet. And I already have the switch in hand, and I do top deck an Emolga. So what I do is attach an energy to the Emolga, switch, and just grab some more basics. I don't really have much else to do other than thin the deck, and it doesn't look like I've got any Piplups left either, so this is going to be a very rough game for me. The good thing is that it doesn't look like he runs Rayquaza, so he's not going to be able to get very easy KOs on my Empoleons when they are out. It does depend on whether he runs anything such as Zekrom, but Mewtwo's I can definitely deal with because they're not going to be doing too much damage to my Empoleons at all. So he goes and ends me, which is fairly strange seeing as I didn't play a supporter at all that turn, and all I did was call for family. I did catch his Eelektrik last turn, but he did have the double colorless in hand, but he is still lacking in the energy department. So he does get a Thunderous and a Zekrom, which means he definitely has some attackers to take down my Empoleon, which is going to be a bit of a pain. Thunderous is my favourite attacker for him to choose because Empoleon can one-hit KO that. Zekrom will be a different ball game though when that does hit the field. So I've got a decision here. I have the Empoleon in hand, but again I have no rare candy to get into that. So what I do have is a Tool Scrapper to get rid of that Eelektrik, making his Terrakion a lot easier to KO when I do finally get an Empoleon out, but I don't. So another Catcher Stall is in play for me, and I get another call for family just to get another card out of my deck and onto the field. So he goes ahead, uses a level ball, benches his Zekrom and uses a Bianca for a massive 6. So he is definitely rolling right now. His energy is still dwindling quite a bit. He doesn't have any in the discard, but he does draw into a switch, which means he's going to be able to do another charge. So he does do another charge with no energy in hand, and that's pretty good for me because I am struggling to get anything going right now. So my hand is still pretty poor. I do attach a fighting energy to the Terrakion, which is going to threaten the KO if he does take the KO on my Emolga the next turn, if that's what I'm going to have to do. So I play the N, which puts us down to 5. I do get the Ultra Ball and Rare Candy, so finally I am going to be able to get the Empoleon out and start doing some decent drawing and attacking. So I Rare Candy into the Empoleon, and I will be able to take a KO this turn. This does put a lot of energy into his discard pile, but I do have that Terrakion sitting there ready to retaliate. And as you can see, I make a major misclick by clicking the N, by clicking Diving Draw instead of Attack Command, but it does get rid of the N, but I do draw into 2 Junipers, so it's not too bad, but still a very annoying misclick. Anyway, I do take the Thunderous KO and I get an energy switch off my prizes, which isn't too shabby, and he's going to, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do much this turn unless he has the switch in hand. He will be able to retaliate for 90 after he puts a Sky Arrow Bridge down, which is not too much of an issue. He does have that Zekrom almost powered up now, thanks to me putting the energy into his discard pile. But as soon as he takes a KO with that Zekrom, I will be able to KO it with a Retaliate from my Terrakion. So I've got a fairly decent field all set up in just one turn. So you can see how Empoleon can really speed up as it gets those Empoleons out. So he goes ahead and plays a Juniper for a fresh 7, so his deck is already getting quite thin, and it's pretty surprising he doesn't have much. He does go for the Retaliate of 90, which is okay for me. He doesn't one-hit KO it, which isn't too bad. I go for a Diving Draw because I don't quite want to Juniper just yet because I've got a lot of resources in the discard pile already. I do a Cheron after that as well and get my hand nice up to a nice 7. And I've got a fair few options. I've got a fair few catchers to use at my disposal just to take some cheap prizes. And I do play the energy switch to get the water energy off my Emolga onto a Piplup ready for next turn. And I do take the Eelektrik prize, which is going to start dwindling his energy acceleration. So, what he's going to do next is probably retaliate and get a KO on mine, but I do have that catcher to take another retaliate KO back on him for a Zekrom KO. So that's going to be really strong on my part. I don't have another Empoleon, which is a little bit worrying, but I do have a 4 prizes taken to his 2, and I'm feeling pretty good. I only got to get 1 KO on his Mewtwo EX or 2 cheap prizes to win this game. So an extremely bad start has turned into a fairly decent game for me so far. I do draw a Super Rod, which means I can get some more Empoleons and Piplups back into the deck, which is going to be really good for me trying to get another Empoleon out, because I've only had 1 this game, which is really frustrating. And I do get a lot of energy actually. I'll get them blends to attach to Terrakion to be able to Land Crush next turn, so that's going to be really awesome. I didn't attach it just yet, just in case he played Enhanced Hammer, or just so he doesn't predict what I'm doing next. He doesn't know if I have the energy in hand or not to do Land Crush, and it could affect what he does next turn. So he does bring up his Mewtwo, which is fairly predictable because it's a good attacker against Terrakion, to be honest. And when he's not taking a KO, Terrakion is made a lot weaker. So he does play an Ultra Ball, and see what he grabs quickly. Okay, he fails it just because he's going to be Anchor. He attaches double colours to the Mewtwo, which is big as well. He is going to be able to do a hefty amount of damage to my Terrakion. He does bench another Dynamo, but takes it back, which is good because if I do get some more catches, I will be able to take some easy prizes. But he's not able to get enough energy onto his Mewtwo to get a KO, so I'm going to be able to get a Prinplup out, which is really good for me, and then Cheren hopefully into Empoleon, but I don't get it. So it's still not too bad. I can still Land Crush for a decent amount of damage on that Mewtwo, and then try and fish for that Empoleon next turn. The only issue with that is that I don't have any supporters in hand. So I do go for the Land Crush, just because that's the only prize I need to take, the only KO I need to take, sorry, to take my last 2 prizes. And because it's got all the energy on it, I would not suspect a Max Potion from him anytime soon. So what he is going to do is go into Registeel. Pretty strange inclusion in the Eelektrik deck. It was hyped quite a bit when it was released, but he is going to be able to use it to good worth hit. So he does put 30 on the Prinplup and Piplup, threatening the KO next turn, but I top deck the Empoleon, which is awesome. I can get the Rare Candy Empoleon and start to try and get those catches to win this game. So what I can also do is put a hefty amount of damage on his Registeel, which is going to be awesome too. I do have the Max Potion to keep my Empoleon alive as long as possible, and I do actually Diving Draw into another Empoleon, so this is getting really awesome now. Getting a really good setup late game, and I think I'm in a good position right now. So I do Diving Draw. My deck is getting pretty thin right now, but I do have that Super Rod as a kind of insurance policy just in case, and I'm feeling pretty good. So what I'm going to do is retreat into my Empoleon, it doesn't really matter which one, and do 90, which is a very nice amount of damage to that Registeel, which means he's going to have to retreat or he will lose the game, or take a knockout, which means I can just bench something else and still take the game. So what he's probably going to do is retreat out of there, because he does only have a 3 retreat cost now, and then do a decent 90 to my Empoleon, not taking a knockout though, so it's not as good as it could be. And that's what he does, and it's on to my turn with my pretty weird hand. So I do only have a couple of cards left in my deck, and I do have the Super Rod in hand. So what I'm going to do is pretty much draw the rest of my deck with Diving Draw, which also gets rid of all my junk cards from my deck, to see if I do have any catchers left, but it turns out my last catcher is prized. So what I do is I draw my last cards and then Super Rod in some energy and a Terrakion as well for later on. I get a Max Potion, which means he's going to be slowed down even further, and I do 90 to his Terrakion. So all of his Pokemon on the field right now are in range for a KO. If I was him, I'd keep the Terrakion there, because that's just the single prize that I'll need to take, and then I need to take another prize off of one of his EXs or his Eelektrik to try and take this game. But it looks like he is going to go for the Eelektrik route. So I did actually think this would KO me, because I thought it did 80 for some reason, but it only does 50 times 2, which is 100, and I'm still pretty much set for this game. So I still know that I don't have a catcher, but I do have a Terrakion there just in case he takes the KO. And I am going to be able to take a KO on this Eelektrik here, which puts him in a really bad position, since I did get that Terrakion and I do have the energy switch in hand. Because if he does take the KO, everything on his field has 90 damage left or less, including that Dynamo. I do draw another Max Potion, which is awesome too, by the way. But what I was saying, if he does take the KO, my Retaliate Terrakion will be able to take any prize on the field and finish up this game. So this is pretty much checkmate, unless he finds another attack out of anywhere. But he doesn't. He only has the double colors on his Mewtwo to take a KO on my Empoleon, and then I will be able to take a KO with either my Terrakion or my Empoleon, whichever I decide to use. So a really good game there with a fairly fun deck. This was actually taken from my stream again. I did another one a few days ago, I can't remember when it was exactly, but it was also fun, so check the annotation on your screen to watch the whole stream. I did play a lot of fun decks on that stream, in particular less competitive and more fun. So thanks a lot for watching this video, guys. Please like, subscribe and all that good stuff. Comment down below with what decks you want to see in the future on these PTCGO games, and stay tuned for another fun one coming up in another couple of days. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.